Hey guys, it's omero2582 here, back at it again with another video. This is going to be Neeko tips and tricks number 3 on why Night Harvester is better than Rocketbelt. And here's my credentials in case you need them. Alright, so let's get right into the video. Okay, so this is going to be the Rocketbelt comparison. And this one I think is a lot easier than the everfrost comparison because the components build the same. And that's actually one of the main reasons why you built Night Harvester in the everfrost comparison. At the same time, I think this is the one that most people are debating because, like I said, everfrost and Night Harvester are very, very different. So you're trying to do two different things when you're building when you're making that decision of building Night Harvester or everfrost. Whereas with Rocketbelt, you're making a very similar decision. I feel like it's more about the damage here instead of the comparison between damage and utility. But anyways, let's get on with the comparison. So as we can see, the gold values are the same. We don't have to touch the gold values. We just have to look at the stats in the passive. 90 AP compared to 90 AP, so AP values are the same. 6 magic pen, which I'll get back to that in a second. 250 health to 300 health. So again, Night Harvester has 50 more health than Rocketbelt. If you guys didn't watch the last part, it also has 50 more health than everfrost. So Night Harvester actually has 50 more health than both of them. And then for ability haste, they both have the exact same ability haste. So it's really only the magic pen, the 6 magic pen stat wise that Rocketbelt has over Harvester. So let's address that. What I'm showing you guys right now is the cheapest magic pen item in the game, and what's considered to be like the simplest, lowest magic pen item in the game. This is Sork Shoes. And this piece of shit gives you 18 magic penetration. Now, what you have to understand is that you can definitely notice the difference when you get Sork Shoes, but this is only versus people with very low magic resistances or no magic resistance. And if you look at the amount of magic pen that Rocketbelt provides, it only provides 6. This is a third of Sork Shoes magic penetration value. And Sork Shoes sometimes isn't even that noticeable. You know, it's only noticeable if you're looking for it, or it's noticeable if like I complete my mythic item and then next item I go Sork Shoes and I fight again. I'll notice it immediately because I have a comparison of, okay, I have my mythic item plus regular boots, and then later on the next base I have my mythic plus magic pen boots. So I will notice that comparison, but it's very minimal. You know, I'd say in terms of damage boosts against something like Merc Treads, you pretty much cancel the Merc Treads, or if they don't have Merc Treads, I'd say in terms of power, you're getting around a 20% damage boost when you get the Sork Shoes. Or maybe less, you know, it obviously depends on the resistances that they have, but it's not a big damage, or maybe even less actually, maybe more like 15%. I'd say it's closer to 15% actually, yeah. So in comparison, this Rocketbelt adds almost nothing compared to these Sork Shoes. It would only add a third of whatever the Sork Shoes adds, right? Or maybe that's not the exact calculation, but it really feels like it might as well not give any pen and it would be the exact same item. With or without this 6 magic pen, you're going to be dealing like almost the same damage basically. So it's not really, you know, let's say just stats wise, let's say I'm dealing 100 damage with Night Harvester. I would expect to deal like 110 with Rocketbelt with that 6 magic pen. I wouldn't expect to deal much more than that. Maybe 115, you know. But it's very, very minimal. It's basically like adding Scorch to the item. So now that we discussed that magic pen, we do have the active. But before I get into active, I actually want to discuss the mythic passive, because I know people are gonna point this out as well. Rocketbelt has 5 magic penetration on its mythic passive. And I already discussed this in the everfrost comparison, but basically what I said is the games are already swung pretty hard and they're already decided by the time you get that second item. And I'm not saying a team is already like the winner is already decided the game, but I'm saying the way the games are played, by the time people get their second item, that's when the most important fights are happening. You know, first and second item, laning phase, those are most like important like game swinging events that set the game in a certain direction, you know. And absolutely worst case scenario, they're decided by the time you get your third item. You're not going to convince me that you know, like teams that are AFK for 40 minutes until you get like your 4th item and shit, or your 5th item. You're just not gonna convince me of that, because that's not the truth. So like, best case scenario for the Mythic passive enthusiasts, best case scenario, you're only getting 2 activations of that Mythic passive that actually matter for deciding the game. And this piece of shit gives you 5 magic pen. Sorry. And this item gives you 5 magic pen per legendary item, which means that at most you're getting 10 extra magic pen, which means in total you're getting 16 magic pen on Rocketbelt. Now, yes, I will agree that if you add those two together, the 16 magic pen and the 18 magic pen from Sork Shoes, I do agree it adds up a decent amount, you know. But against tanky champs that have like an actual MR item, you're still going to be needing Void Staff. That flat pen is not going to be enough through people that have actual tank items or that are stacking MR. You're still going to need Void Staff. But I will admit that if you know, if we're considering, you know, 3 items in, you get 16 plus 18 magic pen, so you're getting a total of 34 magic pen. I will admit that's a good amount against people that have low resistances. But if that's your only reasoning for getting an item, then you should be reconsidering immediately, because Night Harvester is going to win you those fights early on more than Rocketbelt will. And this is when I'll explain the passive of Night Harvester, which is probably the main reason why you actually get Night Harvester. So what I want people to notice here is the base damages and the ratio on the items are the exact same. So in terms of the damage that you can potentially deal with the item, they have the same sort of potential. But then we have to look at the cone. There's 2 points here. First of all is deception on the cooldown that we have to address, and secondly is the cone. Just like everfrost, Rocketbelt's rockets can get blocked by people. Most of the time when you're going to be using Rocketbelt, you're not going to be hitting that priority target. You know, like their AD carry and mid laner aren't going to be frontlining, you know. Or even if you do get a flank, like you're never going to get that perfect proc on like the 2 priority targets that you want to hit, usually their AD carry and mid laner, or maybe their AD carry and their jungler. Or if their top laner is really fed, maybe their top laner. But it's really hard to guarantee the hit on the priority targets, basically, because the rockets can be easily blocked. But conceptually, this item is supposed to be a movement speed based item. So it's supposed to be able to facilitate your ability to get into a fight, okay? But this has been heavily nerfed a couple patches back, where before this thing gave you like, it made you literal Usain Bolt on the Rift, fastest man on earth, right? You press Rocketbelt, you basically flashed like 3 times while you were moving, right? But now the active has been nerfed enough that the movement speed is very minuscule here. But the whole idea is that Rocketbelt isn't meant to deal more damage than Harvester. It's just meant to give you that movement speed component. And a lot of people actually use it inside a combo because they think, oh shit, you know, Neeko doesn't have any actual combos. It's really hard to land R flash, so I have to last second Rocketbelt. Or I have to like Rocketbelt in or something. Let me tell you guys right now, you do not need Rocketbelt inside any single combo. No cap, literal, the only thing you need on Neeko is fadeaway E, which I explained earlier as well, but fadeaway E is you basically E in one direction and then you move like diagonally in the opposite direction. And this usually makes people run in the opposite direction of the way you ran, basically. Like it's kind of like how when Thresh runs one way, like straight forward, and then he like towards an enemy champ, and then he diagonally hooks to the champ on the right. It's a similar idea with this fadeaway E on Neeko, and you can do this fadeaway spell, by the way, on a lot of champs, but Neeko's just one of them. But that fadeaway E and the Omero combo are pretty much the only things you need to guarantee hits on Neeko. You don't really need Rocketbelt at all. This is just an extra thing for people that can't do fadeaway E or can't Omero combo. That's really all it is. And now let's get to the beauty of Night Harvester, which I will explain here for you guys. probably the biggest secret of Night Harvester that I've ever explained, and I know I've explained this before, but I still want to go over it because it's one of the biggest things of Night Harvester that people do not think about or understand, man. And that is this line right here at the end: 40 seconds cooldown per champion. It's per champion, man. The cooldown is per champion, which means that it's not like you proc Night Harvester once and then you have to wait a whole 40 seconds to proc it again, like Rocketbelt, right? Rocketbelt is one pump every 40 seconds. You can't try it again in those 40 seconds. You just have one try in 40 seconds and that's it. You don't hit those priority targets, you're never going to get that extra active damage on the priority targets if you already missed them or if they're already blocked, right? We look at Night Harvester now, and Night Harvester is 40 seconds per champion. This means basically that the hit is guaranteed on every single champ. As long as you deal any sort of damage to them, you will always guaranteed hit them for the damage. It's more consistent than Rocketbelt if we just look at the damage for damage portion. And this is to say two things. Number one is that I can hit champion A with a Q while we're sieging or while we're in a standoff, like in a standoff right before the dragon fight. We're just throwing out abilities right before we fight. Both teams are in this like standoff back and forth. I could be looking for Qs. I could throw a Q and the Q will hit the guy. It'll proc Night Harvester, and then maybe we don't fight for another 40 seconds and then Night Harvester will be up again. You get what I'm saying? Or maybe in the middle of the fight, Night Harvester will come back up again, you know? So Night Harvester has that ability to basically proc twice per siege / per fight, per pre-fight, you know? You can proc it multiple times, and you also basically guaranteed per champion, which means you're at least every single time you fight or every single time you're in a siege or in a standoff, you're at least going to hit 3 people guaranteed, no matter what. It can't be blocked, and as long as you deal any damage, even if it's just an auto attack, it'll proc the Night Harvester damage. So you're guaranteed going to hit the priority targets that you're going to be hitting in those fights. It's never going to get cock blocked by their tank or terrain or anything. And you're not on a cooldown really. The thing about this cooldown too, what you have to understand is that if we're in a standoff or in a siege and I hit one champion, 7 seconds later my Q comes back up, I throw another Q, I hit it again. 7 seconds come back, 7 seconds pass by again, I hit 2 people. Bam, I've just hit 4 people. I've just proc Night Harvester 4 times within like 28 seconds, right? If I just say the cooldown 7 seconds or whatever. It comes back up again, I proc it again. You can basically hit one champ every 8 seconds and it will cover the whole cooldown of the item. In essence, meaning you're activating the damage the whole time, every single time your Q's up. And it's not entirely true that you're always applying it, because you can't apply it to the same champ. And you won't always like hit people off cooldown like permanently. But it's basically true to say that the uptime for this item is way higher than the uptime for Rocketbelt. You always have the option to proc Night Harvester, and it's always going to be guaranteed when you want to hit the priority target. A lot of people don't know about that cooldown per champion thing. A lot of people just don't read items, by the way. I read items a lot. I read wikis a lot. And Night Harvester is just the best item in the game, hands down. The new patch is going to come out. By the time this video comes out, it probably would have already come out. But I'm telling you guys right now, Night Harvester Ziggs is going to be OP as fuck. But yeah guys, that's going to be it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you have any comments, questions, quotes, make sure to leave them down in the comments down below. If you have any suggestions for videos, I have a couple in mind and I'll probably be making them little by little as time passes by. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. This has been omero 2582 and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.